Of you, appropriate to have Spitfires in the sky over Biggin Hill, not only because one of the key themes, as you may have seen from the souvenir programme, is that we are commemorating the life of that Spitfire pilot par excellence, Ray Hanna, who sadly passed away at the end of last year.
And also, of course, don't forget, Pete, that this is the 70th anniversary year of the first flight of the Spitfire, the 5th of March, 1936, down at Southampton.
Which I believe is actually your birthday, is that right, Brendan?
It is, actually, yes. Not 1933, my dear.
Oh,
no.
I was going to 1936. I was going to... Spitfire braking left, Hurricane braking right now, and what a great sound and sight that fly past was.
Why, I wondered, did the Hurricane always become the ugly sister? Because in fact far more Hurricanes were built than there were Spitfires, and also in terms of what they actually did in many ways.
Type. But this is the Hurricane. So this Hurricane is a Mark II. Its registration is LF, that's Lima Foxtrot 363. And many pilots who had the opportunity of flying both aircraft said that it actually was a more stable gun platform than the Spitfire. A veteran not of the Battle of Britain, but of the Second World War, because this aircraft first flew on the 1st of January 1944 and was delivered to the RAF at the end of that month, and is believed to be the last Hurricane to enter service with the RAF. And it served continuously from 1944 until a heavy landing in 1991, which took it out of the skies for some years, but now, as you can see, back fully recovered. In fact, of course, RAF Wittering, which is the home of the Harrier Operational Conversion Unit, actually was the port of call for the Hurricane. That was on the 11th of September 1991, en route to Jersey. She suffered engine problems, and the pilot put her down at Wittering. Unfortunately, he couldn't make a glide approach there safely onto the runway, so there was quite extensive damage, which meant that the rebuilding took 7 years, and she didn't return to the BBMF until autumn of '98. It's similar to the Hawker Hart, is it?
Indeed.
Another of Sydney Cam's, Sydney Cam's designs.
But that design was created as a sort of private venture and offered immense advantages over the sort of current biplane fighters that that were written for 1934 type of specifications. And the first prototype, of course, we must remember, flew in November 1935.
Were many years apart in terms of the design philosophy. It's interesting, this is one of 2 Hurricanes operated by the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight. So this aircraft, as I said, believed to be the last Hurricane to enter service with the RAF, while the other Mark IIC, which isn't flying here today, is actually the last of the 14,533 Hurricanes built. Roll 1945, so after the war in Europe had finished.
And just quickly, ladies and gentlemen, to remind you, in the tent at the moment, the pilot's tent just behind the commentary stand, all the Falcons plus the Charlie 130 crew are there, and Graham as well, I guess. That wonderful wrench-mouth, Graham Liggins. The Spitfire, of course, ultimately was developed, in its basic fighter form with a much larger and more powerful Rolls-Royce Griffin in line. And that was about good 1,700, nearly 1,800 horsepower, Griffin 2s or 4s. Mark 15, of course, that was up to 2,000 horsepower, Griffin 65, 66.
In tests of new cameras for PR work.
Yes, I mean, as an unarmed reconnaissance type, the major Merlin engine types were the 4s, if I remember, the 4s, the 10s, the 11 and the 13. The Griffin engine, as we say, this show devoted to the memory of Ray Hanna, one of the greatest of the display pilots of post-war. Associated with Biggin Hill here for over 40 years. He first came, of course, in 1965 with the Red Arrows, invited by John Maitland. He was then, I think, Red 3 and went on in the subsequent years to become one of the most famous, effective and innovative leaders of the Reds flying the Folland-Mat. So appropriately the 70th year of the first flight of the...
Parents of a nervous disposition, please do warn them to expect some bangs on that first pass.
Okay, Pete, I am reliably informed that the Lank may be okay. An aircraft that I have seen on the display circuit. It is truly awesome. They are hoping to bring it back, the Vulcan. The latest news on the Vulcan to the Sky project is that despite what has been said in the recent press outputs, that the project is to return Vulcan XH558 back to flight, and that is on target and continues.